Welcome back to LexTalks Legal Topics Simplified.
Yeah.
Where we like to break down these complex Indian legal concepts into, bite-sized pieces,
Mm.
perfect for, like first-time learners, right?
Hmm.
Today we're going to be tackling, well, I think it's an essential topic really for any aspiring lawyer here in India,
Yeah.
and that's going to be holder and holder in due course and parties to negotiable instruments.
Yeah. This is a really fascinating area of law, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It gets to the heart of financial transactions, and you know how different parties are protected, legally speaking?
That's a great point. It's like this legal puzzle almost.
Right.
Where, you have to understand the role of each player
Yeah.
to like solve it.
Exactly.
So let's put on our detective hats, I guess.
Yeah.
And let's start with the basics. What are we even talking about when we say like negotiable instrument?
Okay, well, imagine you have a signed document, right?
Okay.
And this document guarantees a payment to a specific person or whoever's holding that document. Essentially, that's what a negotiable instrument is.
Oh, okay.
It's like a promise in writing, backed up by, the law.
Okay, so something like a check.
Yeah, a check is like a perfect example.
Okay.
You also have things like promissory notes
Sorry.
and bills of exchange.
Gotcha.
And in India, these instruments, they're governed by the Negotiable Instruments Act of 1881. So it lays out the rules of the game.
Okay, so we have these documents. They're promising payments. Now, where do holders come into play?
Right. So a holder is simply someone who is legally entitled
Okay.
to possess the instrument, and they have the right to collect the payment.
Got it.
That means they have the document in their name and
Right.
can enforce it against, liable parties.
So if I get a check made out to me, I'm the holder, right?
Precisely. You have the check. You have the right to cash it.
Yes.
You're the holder.
Makes sense. So then what makes a holder in due course different? They sound like a VIP version of a regular holder.
You're catching on quick. Yeah, holder in due course is a special kind of holder.
Okay.
They get extra, legal protection because they've acquired the instrument in good faith for value before its due date and without any knowledge of problems associated with it. Think of it like buying a used car without knowing it's been in an accident.
Okay, so if I buy a seemingly legitimate bill of exchange,
Right.
but I didn't know it was stolen,
Yeah.
I'd be a holder in due course.
That's the idea, but it's crucial to remember that not every holder is a holder in due course.
Right.
To qualify, you need to meet all four of those conditions. All four.
Okay, so let's break down those conditions then.
Yeah.
What does it take to become a member of this exclusive holder in due course club?
All right, first and foremost, you have to be a holder,
Right, okay.
meaning you legally possess it and you have the right to collect the payment. Second, you must have given something valuable in exchange for the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
No freebies, no gifts. So it's like a fair trade. You get the instrument,
Right.
You give something in return.
Got it.
Third, you must have acquired the instrument in good faith, meaning you honestly believed it was, legitimate
Okay, yeah.
and no reason to suspect, any foul play.
Yeah, no turning a blind eye.
Exactly. And finally, you must have received the instrument without notice of any defects,
Okay.
meaning you weren't aware of any issues with the instrument's history,
Okay.
like if it was, reported stolen or forged.
So it's like buying that used car
Yeah.
and finding out it has like this hidden history of accidents.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about why this distinction between a holder and a holder in due course is so important. What are the perks
Yeah.
of being in this VIP club?
What makes a holder in due course so special, legally speaking?
Well, think of it this way. A holder in due course essentially gets a clean slate.
Okay.
They get a better title to the instrument
Uh-huh.
than the person they received it from,
Okay.
meaning they're not bound by any problem
Guys.
that existed before the instrument came into their hands.
So even if the instrument was like obtained fraudulently,
Yes,
the holder in due course is protected.
exactly, because they acquired it in good faith.
Right.
Without knowledge of those issues. This means that the liable parties, the people who are supposed to pay on the instrument,
Yeah.
they can't use defenses like fraud or duress or even this instrument was lost
Wow.
against a holder in due course. They still have to pay it up.
So that's some serious legal protection. What other benefits do they get?
Okay, so another advantage is their ability to enforce incomplete instruments.
Okay.
Imagine a check
Yeah.
that's missing, like the amount or the date.
Okay.
If a previous holder filled it out incorrectly, a holder in due course can still claim the full amount, as long as it's within the stamp value.
So even if someone like messed up filling out a check,
Mm-hmm.
a holder in due course can still cash it in.
That's right. And then there's the liability of prior parties.
Okay.
All the people involved with the instrument before the holder in due course.
Yeah.
They're still liable until that payment is made in full.
So it's like a chain of responsibility that follows the instrument.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
Another interesting privilege, it deals with fictitious bills.
Fictitious bills.
Yeah, these are bills where both the drawer and the payee, they're fake
I see.
or non-existent. A holder in due course can still hold the acceptor
Mm-hmm.
of such a bill liable,
Really?
even though the other parties, they're made up.
Wait, that's wild.
Right.
How can they hold someone responsible if the other parties don't even exist?
Well, the acceptor is the one who agreed to pay the bill,
Okay.
so they're still obligated, even if the drawer and payee are, fictitious. Finally, a holder in due course also has an advantage when it comes to conditionally delivered instruments.
Okay.
So even if the instrument was originally handed over with, specific conditions,
Right.
they can still enforce payment regardless of whether those conditions were met.
So basically, becoming a holder in due course gives you a lot more power to get paid,
Yes.
no matter what happened before you got the instrument.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Now, to make this, even clearer,
Yeah.
let's imagine like a real world scenario.
Okay.
Let's say you receive a check. It looks completely legit,
Mhm.
but it turns out it was obtained through fraud.
All right.
As a holder in due course, you are still protected. You can still cash that check.
That's incredible. So a holder in due course really does have a significant advantage
Yes.
when dealing with these negotiable instruments. It's amazing how the law provides those safeguards.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can we look at like a real-life legal case that illustrates these concepts? I'm
Right.
always a big fan of seeing how these principles play out
Of course, yeah.
in like actual situations.
Right.
It just helps to solidify like the understanding.
Absolutely. A landmark case that beautifully showcases the privileges of a holder in due course is the case of, absolutely. A landmark case that beautifully showcases the privileges of a holder in due course is the case of P. Elorana v. Andhra Bank Ltd.
Okay.
This case went all the way up to the Supreme Court of India
Wow.
in 1975, and it really solidified the understanding of how strong those HDC rights are.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give us the rundown of this case.
Right.
I'm sure our listeners are eager to hear about like a real-world example of a holder in due course, in action.
So in this case, a bill of exchange was endorsed to P.L. Narayana,
What?
who became the holder in due course. Now, there were some hiccups
Uh-oh.
with the endorsements made before the bill landed in Mr. Narayana's hands.
Okay.
Issues that could have potentially voided the instrument.
Oh, no. What kind of issues?
Huh.
Are we talking like forged signatures or something like that?
Not quite, but issues nonetheless.
Okay.
Without going into too much detail, there were questions surrounding the authority of the person who made those prior endorsements.
It was messy.
You bet. But here's where the magic of being a holder in due course comes in.
Okay.
The Supreme Court ultimately ruled in favor of Mr. Narayana,
Oh, wow.
upholding his right to recover the amount stated on the bill,
Okay.
even though there were defects in those previous endorsements.
So even though there were like problems with how the bill was handled before it reached him,
Right.
he was still able to enforce it
Yes.
because he was a holder in due course.
Exactly.
That really highlights the importance of that special status.
Precisely. This case, it serves as a powerful precedent. It demonstrates that holders in due course,
Yeah.
they enjoy significant protection under the law. They can enforce an instrument
Yeah.
even when there are flaws in the chain of endorsements
Huh?
preceding their acquisition of it. It shows how the law prioritizes
Right.
a clean and transparent financial system.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
This has been incredibly insightful. I feel like we've really unpacked the complexities of holders and holders in due course.
Good.
But before we wrap up, let's kind of zoom out a little bit
Okay.
and talk about like the other parties involved in these negotiable instruments.
Okay.
We've touched upon some of them already.
Yeah.
But could we get like a quick overview of who they are
Sure.
and what their roles are?
Absolutely. Understanding the different parties
Yeah.
is crucial for grasping the bigger picture
Right.
of how negotiable instruments operate within the legal system. So let's start with promissory notes.
Okay.
In a promissory note, you essentially have two main players,
Uh-huh.
the maker and the payee.
Okay.
The maker is the person who promises to pay a specific sum of money,
Got it.
while the payee is the person who is entitled to receive that payment.
Okay, so it's like a direct promise between two parties.
Right.
What about bills of exchange? Are there more people involved?
Bills of exchange, yeah. They bring in a third party into the mix. So we have the drawer, the drawee, and the payee.
Okay.
The drawer is the one who creates the bill,
Okay.
ordering the drawee to pay a certain sum of money
Right.
to the payee. The draw is typically like a bank or a financial institution that is instructed to make the payment.
So with bills of exchange, there's this additional layer of instruction involved.
Yes,
The drawer tells the drawee to pay the payee.
exactly.
Gotcha. And checks, I assume those fall under bills of exchange.
You're absolutely right. A check is essentially a specific type of bill of exchange
Okay.
where the draw is always a bank.
Got it.
It's what we call a demand instrument,
Uh-huh.
meaning the payee can demand payment immediately.
Which is why I can go to the bank and cash it, like, right away.
Easily.
Now with all these different parties involved,
Yeah.
there's got to be some rules about their, like, responsibilities, right?
Yes.
Like, what happens if someone doesn't hold up their end of the bargain?
That's where the concept of liability comes in.
Okay.
Each party to a negotiable instrument
Yeah.
has certain liabilities
Oh.
attached to their role.
Got it.
For instance, the maker of a promissory note is primarily liable
Okay.
to pay the amount due to
Mhm.
the payee. In a bill of exchange, the acceptor,
Mm.
who is typically the drawee,
Okay.
bears the primary liability.
So if the bank accepts a bill of exchange,
Yeah.
they're basically saying we'll make sure this payment goes through.
Exactly. Exactly. And then you have secondary liability,
Uh-huh.
which comes into play if the primarily liable party
Okay.
fails to pay.
Got it.
For instance, the drawer of a bill of exchange
Yeah.
might be secondarily liable
Okay.
if the drawee doesn't honor the bill. I'm starting to see how this all fits together. It's like a carefully choreographed dance
Yeah.
with each party having their specific steps and responsibilities.
Exactly.
And if someone stumbles, the music stops and there are consequences.
Right.
But with the holder in due course,
Yeah.
they kind of have a bit more flexibility on the dance floor.
That's an excellent analogy.
Okay.
Understanding the roles and liabilities of each party
Right.
is really key to navigating the
Yeah.
intricacies
Yeah.
of negotiable instruments.
Okay.
And as we've seen, the holder in due course
Right.
holds a privileged position,
Uh-huh.
shielded from certain liabilities
Okay.
that other parties might face.
This has been an incredible, deep dive into negotiable instruments.
Yeah,
I feel like we've covered so much ground
we have.
from, the basic definition of an instrument to these intricate details. Yeah.
Of holders in due course,
Right.
responsibilities of various parties.
Yeah.
I feel much more equipped to tackle this area of law now.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. It is a complex area, but hopefully we've managed to break it down into digestible pieces,
Yeah.
highlighting, the key concepts and why they matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to recap, we've explored, the world of negotiable instruments in India.
Yes.
Learned about the different types, the concept of holders,
Mm-hmm.
and the special privileges of a holder in due course.
Right.
And we even, delved into a landmark case to kind of see how those principles apply in real life.
Yes, we did.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with, a challenge, something that goes beyond just memorizing definitions.
I like where this is going. What do you have in mind?
Well, for all the aspiring, legal eagles out there,
Yes.
I challenge you to take this knowledge a step further
Okay.
and explore real-world cases involving holders in due course.
That's a fantastic suggestion. Analyzing, real life scenarios is one of the best ways to really grasp these legal concepts.
Exactly. It's like being a legal detective. You're piecing together the facts of a case
Right.
and seeing how the law applies in practice.
Yeah.
Look into cases where a holder in due course, played a pivotal role
Mm-hmm.
and see how their unique status really affected the outcome.
You might be surprised, by the twists and turns you uncover in these cases.
Oh, yeah.
The world of negotiable instruments is full of fascinating legal precedents just waiting to be explored.
Exactly. So don't just stick to the textbooks, Get out there
Right.
and dive into the real world of law.
And remember, the knowledge you gain from studying these cases, it
Yeah.
will not only help you understand the law better, but also develop your critical thinking and your analytical skills,
Absolutely.
which are so essential for any, successful lawyer.
Well said. A huge thank you to you for joining us today, shedding light on this complex but very crucial area of law.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on LexTalks.
The pleasure is all mine. I always enjoy these deep dives
Yeah.
into the fascinating world of Indian law.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to LexTalks, Legal Topics Simplified.
Yes, thank you.
We hope this episode has equipped you with, a solid understanding of holders in due course, and the parties to negotiable instruments.
If you're eager to simplify more legal topics,
Yes.
be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more legal basics explained in a clear and concise way.
Until next time, keep exploring the fascinating world of Indian law.
Yes.
And remember to always stay curious.
And keep learning. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to LexTalks for more legal basics.